Nobody expected things to spiral out of control this fast. What started as quiet online speculation about 50 Cent and DJ Akademiks has now turned into a full-blown industry-wide storm, one that has everyone in hip-hop watching closely, refreshing timelines, and trying to figure out what's real, what's edited, and what's being deliberately hidden. Because this isn't just another celebrity disagreement. This feels different, more calculated, more personal. And according to circulating claims, it all began with something that was never meant to be seen at all: leaked footage from an upcoming 50 Cent documentary project, material so sensitive that people close to the situation allegedly believe it could damage multiple careers if fully released. But somehow, that footage didn't stay private. It spread. And the moment it did, everything changed. At first, the internet wasn't even sure what it was looking at. Short clips began appearing across social media platforms, fragmented scenes, blurred visuals, and audio that sounded like it was pulled straight from behind-the-scenes production. Some viewers assumed it was promotional material. Others thought it might be AI-generated or staged marketing. But that theory didn't last long. As more clips surfaced, patterns started to emerge. The footage appeared to come from a serious documentary-style project, not entertainment fluff, but something raw, unfiltered, and deeply personal. Conversations between well-known figures in the industry were allegedly captured in private environments, including heated exchanges that were never intended for public release. Within hours, the tone online shifted completely. Confusion turned into concern. And then concern turned into chaos. Because people began recognizing voices. Names were being whispered in comment sections. Screenshots were being analyzed frame by frame. And suddenly, what looked like random clips started feeling like pieces of a much bigger puzzle. A puzzle someone clearly didn't want completed. Almost immediately, attention shifted toward DJ Akademiks. Known for breaking stories, reacting quickly to drama, and often being first to report industry rumors, Akademiks found himself at the center of speculation. Many online users began suggesting that he either had access to the leaked footage or played a role in its distribution. There was no confirmed evidence. But in the world of online narratives, suspicion alone is often enough to ignite a fire. And this fire spread quickly. Posts, live-stream clips, and commentary videos began linking his name to the leak, even though nothing was officially verified. Some claimed he had received the footage privately. Others suggested it was passed through multiple unknown sources before ever reaching him. What made things worse was the timing. Because as the clip spread, Akademiks didn't stay silent. He reacted. And his reactions only added fuel to the situation. To understand why this situation escalated so quickly, you have to look at what people believe 50 Cent was working on. According to online claims and insider talk, circulating through entertainment circles, the project wasn't a standard documentary. It was reportedly an in-depth exploration of the hip-hop industry itself, its rivalries, its alliances, and the hidden dynamics that usually stay behind closed doors. Not polished storytelling. Not PR-managed narratives. Something far more uncomfortable. Rumors suggest the project included unreleased behind-the-scenes recordings, private conversations between artists, heated disputes that never went public, archival footage from major industry events, and possibly personal moments that some artists assumed were never recorded. That alone would make the project controversial. But what truly made people nervous were the whispers that certain individuals had already tried to stop it from coming out. According to those same rumors, some figures allegedly attempted to negotiate, persuade, or even financially pressure the production side to remove specific content. Whether true or not, the idea alone added tension. Because if even half of it was accurate, This wasn't just a documentary anymore. It was a potential industry exposé. DJ Akademiks has always been a polarizing figure. To his supporters, he's fast, connected, and unfiltered, someone who speaks on what others avoid. To his critics, he's provocative, unpredictable, and often too comfortable operating in spaces where information is still developing. But one thing is undeniable: when Akademiks speaks, people listen. And during this situation, he spoke indirectly, but loudly enough to keep speculation alive. Instead of directly confirming or denying involvement in the leak, he posted cryptic messages, reacted live on stream, and engaged with the conversation in real time. Clips of him laughing off accusations began circulating widely, interpreted by audiences in completely different ways depending on which side they were already on. Some viewers believed he was distancing himself. Others believed he was hinting that he knew more than he was saying. And that uncertainty made everything worse. Because in moments like this, silence calms things down, but ambiguity ignites them. What makes this situation even more complicated is the history between the two figures. They were never considered close collaborators, but they weren't outright enemies either. Over the years, there had been moments of mutual acknowledgement, occasional praise, indirect references, and public commentary that suggested a level of professional awareness between them. 50 Cent has always been known for strategic thinking in media and business, often controlling narratives before they control him. Akademiks, on the other hand, thrives in fast-moving information cycles where stories evolve in real time. In many ways, they operate in overlapping but conflicting worlds. And now those worlds appear to have collided. Once the footage reached wider audiences, containment became impossible. Short clips turned into compilations. Compilations turned into breakdown videos. And breakdown videos turned into theories, some grounded, others completely speculative. Certain scenes allegedly showed emotional conversations between well-known industry figures. Others appeared to capture disputes involving money, loyalty, and trust within professional relationships. One clip in particular gained massive attention. It allegedly featured a backstage confrontation between two prominent artists. Although faces were partially obscured, the voices were said to be recognizable to people familiar with the industry. The conversation reportedly involved accusations of betrayal, broken agreements, and shifting alliances tied to business deals. Whether accurately represented or not, the clip triggered massive online debate. And the more it spread, the more the narrative escalated beyond anyone's control. As the footage circulated, speculation grew that the situation was causing internal panic within entertainment circles. If the leaks were real, and if additional unreleased content existed, then the implications could be significant. Managers, publicists, and industry representatives were suddenly being pulled into conversations they had no public visibility over. Online commentary suggested emergency discussions were happening behind closed doors. People were trying to determine what had been leaked, what still remained unreleased, and whether further damage could be prevented. But no one had clear answers. And that uncertainty only deepened the tension. As the situation evolved, a new theory began circulating online. What if the leak wasn't just about exposing others? What if 50 Cent himself was also part of what was being examined? According to anonymous posts and unverified claims, earlier versions of the documentary allegedly contained segments involving 50 Cent's own history, business decisions, private conversations, and moments that may have been more revealing than what ultimately appeared in the final cut. Some claimed those sections were removed before release. Others suggested they were never fully removed, just hidden in archived material. If even partially true, that changes the entire narrative. because then the footage isn't just exposing the industry. It could also be exposing the person behind the project. During one of his live streams, Akademiks made a statement that quickly went viral. Without naming anyone, he suggested that everyone has secrets, including those asking the questions. That single line became fuel for endless interpretation. Was it a warning, a defense, or just commentary? No one could agree. But what it did accomplish was simple. It kept the conversation alive. Just when the internet thought it had reached peak chaos, another clip surfaced. This one was different. Unlike earlier fragments, which were shaky or partially obscured, this footage was clearer. The audio was sharper. The visuals were more direct. Names were allegedly mentioned openly, and the context appeared more structured, as if part of a formal conversation rather than a hidden recording. And that shifted everything again. Because now people weren't just speculating about what might be happening. They were reacting to what they believed they were clearly seeing. And once clarity enters a rumor cycle, the stakes rise dramatically. At this point, nothing is fully confirmed. No official statements have clarified the origin of the footage. No verified source has explained how the leak occurred. And neither 50 Cent nor DJ Akademiks has provided a complete, detailed breakdown of what is real and what is speculation. But that hasn't stopped the narrative from growing. Because in the absence of answers, theories fill the gap. And in this case, the theories are evolving faster than the facts. Some believe this is a targeted leak meant to destabilize a major project. Others think it's a case of internal betrayal. Why? Thin a production team. And some argue it may be a deliberate marketing strategy gone out of control. But the most persistent question remains unanswered. Was this an accident or something intentional from the start? Until that is clarified, the tension isn't going anywhere. If anything, it's only building. The moment this clip hit social media, everything stopped for a second. Not because people didn't understand it, but because they did. This wasn't just another leaked moment or industry rumor anymore. This felt darker, more intentional, like something that was never meant to escape the room it was recorded in. According to circulating claims, the footage showed a private studio session. Dim lighting, low energy, and multiple high-profile figures sitting together in what looked like a controlled environment. At first, nothing seemed unusual. People were talking, laughing, passing drinks around. The atmosphere felt casual, almost relaxed. But then everything changed. The tone shifted without warning. One voice, calm but sharp, broke the comfort in the room. "We agreed this stays between us. Nobody outside this room." A second voice responded almost immediately, colder this time. That was before contracts got involved. And just like that, the room went silent. Not normal silence, but the kind that feels heavy, dangerous, like something unsaid just took control of the space. Then a third voice cut through it. Louder, aggressive, direct. "Nah, somebody already talking. Don't play stupid." At that moment, the energy in the footage reportedly shifted again. The camera angle moved slightly, just enough to reveal a brief, unfiltered glimpse of someone recognizable, not blurred, not hidden, just exposed for a split second. And that was all it took. The internet exploded. Within minutes, hashtags started trending. Clips were reposted across every platform. TikTok breakdowns appeared instantly. Twitter threads multiplied. YouTube reaction channels jumped on it before the video even finished circulating. And suddenly, this wasn't just about 50 Cent or DJ Akademiks anymore. It was something bigger. A full industry crisis. Because now multiple artists were being pulled into speculation, whether they wanted to be or not. Names were being linked. Old tensions were being re-examined. Every frame of the footage was being slowed down, zoomed in, and analyzed like it held hidden meaning. Behind the scenes, things escalated even further. Entertainment blogs began reporting that legal teams were moving fast. Cease and desist letters were allegedly being drafted. Emergency meetings were being held. Lawyers were getting involved from multiple directions. Because if more footage leaked, the consequences could be massive. Endorsements could disappear overnight. Partnerships could collapse instantly. Entire reputations could be damaged beyond repair. And still, the conversation didn't slow down. DJ Akademiks stayed at the center of it all. Instead of stepping back, he leaned further into the attention. On another live stream, this one even more watched than the last, he addressed the situation directly, but in a way that only made things more intense. "I told y'all this ain't just content. This is history being recorded." That single word, history, changed the way people viewed everything. Because suddenly, audiences weren't just seeing drama. They were seeing documentation, truth, or at least someone's version of it. Then came the moment that pushed everything over the edge. Midstream, Akademiks paused his screen. He leaned toward the camera and asked, "Y'all want to see more?" The chat instantly went insane. Messages flooded in at unbelievable speed. "Drop it. Play it. Don't hesitate. We know you got more." For a second, it looked like he actually might do it. But then he stopped, smiled, and closed the laptop. "I'm not dumb," he said. A pause. "Not yet." That phrase stuck immediately. Because it suggested control, awareness, strategy. And more importantly, it suggested he was holding back far more than he was showing. Meanwhile, 50 Cent reportedly shifted into full response mode. But not quietly, not defensively, aggressively. He began posting cryptic messages that felt more like direct warnings than vague captions. One post showed a chessboard with a piece knocked over. The caption read, "Everybody think they playing, until they realize they the piece." That line sparked even more speculation. Who was the piece? Akademiks, the artists in the footage, or someone behind the scenes nobody was paying attention to yet? Because at this point, control of the narrative was unclear. No one knew who was driving the situation anymore, or who was being pulled along by it. Then another twist hit. An entertainment blog released a claim that changed everything. According to their sources, the leaked footage didn't actually originate with DJ Akademiks. It had been circulating privately before he ever mentioned it. Which meant something important. NT. He might not be the source of the leak. He might just be amplifying something already in motion. And if that's true, the real question becomes unavoidable. Who started it? Was it someone inside 50 Cent's production team, a rival artist, a disgruntled insider, or something more intentional, something planned from the beginning? That idea led to a new theory spreading online. What if none of this is accidental? What if the leaks are part of a controlled rollout? What if the chaos itself is the strategy? It sounds extreme, but in an industry where controversy drives attention, nothing is fully impossible anymore. Still, not everyone believed it. Because the risks are too high. Legal consequences, broken relationships, industry backlash, reputation damage that can't be repaired by views or attention. This doesn't feel like marketing. It feels like something slipping out of control. And yet the possibility still lingers. Because 50 Cent is known for thinking ahead, strategic, calculated, always watching multiple moves in advance. And DJ Akademiks is known for playing the internet like a live system, fast, reactive, unpredictable. So what happens when two people like that exist inside the same unfolding situation? That's where things stand now. Confused, divided, escalating. and completely unpredictable. Because this is no longer just a feud or a leak. It has become something bigger. A cultural split. A digital war of interpretation. And the internet is reacting accordingly. Fans have already taken sides. One group sees 50 Cent as a truth teller, someone finally exposing hidden dynamics in the industry. They believe this is necessary, even overdue. Comments like, "He's been saying this for years, and let the truth come out," are everywhere. But the opposing side sees something completely different. To them, this is unethical, dangerous, exploitative. Recording people like that isn't exposing, it's violating. If Akademiks didn't leak it, someone else would have. This was bound to explode. And just like that, reality splits in two. One version sees exposure. The other sees destruction. Influencers have now fully entered the conversation. YouTubers are breaking down every clip frame by frame. TikTok creators are analyzing tone, facial expressions, and context. Twitter threads are turning into full investigations. And with each new post, the situation grows harder to contain. Because this isn't slowing down. It's accelerating. And everyone is waiting for the next clip. Threads began spreading across social media almost overnight, each one trying to piece together a timeline of how the alleged leak could have happened. But out of all the theories, one particular post completely took over the conversation. It started with a simple question. What if Akademiks isn't the villain here, but just the messenger? That one line alone exploded across the internet. Hundreds of thousands of likes, thousands of replies, arguments breaking out in real time, because suddenly people weren't just reacting anymore, they were investigating. And once that shift happened, everything escalated. What was once casual entertainment gossip turned into a full-blown digital investigation. Users started building timelines, mapping out possible connections, and trying to trace where the footage actually originated. But the real turning point came when celebrities themselves began reacting. At first, it was subtle, a few likes here and there, vague tweets that didn't name anyone directly but clearly pointed toward the situation, small signals that something bigger was happening behind the scenes. Then it became direct. One rapper, who hadn't appeared in any of the leaked clips, finally spoke out. "Y'all playing a dangerous game exposing private moments. This ain't content. This is people's lives." The statement instantly divided the internet. Within minutes, another artist responded. Or maybe it's time the truth stopped being hidden. And just like that, lines were drawn publicly. No more ambiguity, no more neutral ground. Some artists quietly distanced themselves from 50 Cent. Old collaborations were removed from profiles. Followings changed. Interviews were avoided. When asked about the situation, many chose silence instead of answers. Others took the opposite route. They stood behind him. Old clips resurfaced, interviews where 50 Cent had spoken about fake loyalty, betrayal in the industry, and hidden agendas behind fame. Supporters began circulating those moments, arguing that everything unfolding now only proved he had been right all along. 50 warned y'all for years, one viral comment read. Now the truth is coming out and everybody's scared. Meanwhile, DJ Akademiks remained one of the most talked about names in the entire situation. Not just in hip-hop circles, but across the wider internet. Mainstream media quickly picked up the story. Headlines began appearing. Leaked footage sparks industry-wide panic. Is hip-hop facing its biggest exposure yet? Suddenly, this wasn't gossip anymore. It was news. But while the internet argued endlessly about who was right and who was wrong, a more unsettling question started gaining traction. Who else has seen the footage? Because according to multiple unverified claims online, What had leaked publicly was only a fraction of what actually existed. Rumors suggested that full episodes, longer cuts, and extended versions were circulating privately in encrypted groups and closed circles. If true, that would mean the public had only seen the surface, not the full picture. And that idea alone changed everything. Then came the moment that sent a chill through the entire conversation. Late one night, a verified account, someone known to have real industry connections, posted a single sentence. "Y'all keep arguing, but nobody asking why certain names haven't shown up yet." The post went viral instantly. Not because it provided answers, but because it raised a terrifying new question. Who hasn't been seen in the footage, and why? From that moment on, attention shifted again. It was no longer just about who was exposed, it became about who was. And what that silence meant. Behind the scenes, reports began circulating that emergency meetings were taking place across major record labels. Crisis teams were being assembled. Strategies were being discussed at the highest levels of the industry. Because if more footage dropped, things could spiral beyond control. Endorsements, partnerships, careers built over decades, all of it suddenly felt unstable. And yet, despite everything happening, neither 50 Cent nor DJ Akademiks backed down. No apologies. No clarifications. No attempts to calm the situation. Only silence and tension. And strangely, that silence became the most frightening part. Because in situations like this, silence rarely means peace. It usually means preparation. Something else is coming. Something bigger. And just when people thought they had understood the situation, everything flipped again. A new leak surfaced. This time, it didn't start on social media. It started quietly on an obscure forum. A user claiming to have back-end access to the documentary files made a shocking statement. The footage wasn't leaked, it was scheduled. At first, people didn't understand what that meant. Scheduled. But the user continued. According to them, the clips that had been appearing online weren't random breaches or accidental uploads. Instead, they were allegedly part of a timed release system, content designed to drop automatically at specific intervals without manual control. If that claim was true, then everything changed. Because it meant one thing. This wasn't a leak. It was a plan. And suddenly, the entire narrative collapsed and rebuilt itself at the same time. Was this exposure intentional? Was it part of a marketing strategy? Or was someone deliberately controlling chaos from behind the scenes? The internet exploded with theories. Some believed 50 Cent had orchestrated the entire rollout, using controlled chaos to build anticipation and force attention onto the project. Others believed DJ Akademiks was unknowingly amplifying something already designed to spread. And others went even further. They suggested both were part of a larger system they didn't fully control. But not everyone accepted that idea. Because the risks were too high. Too many reputations were being damaged. Too many relationships were collapsing. Too much unpredictability was unfolding in real time. If this was marketing, it was the most dangerous kind ever attempted. Unless the damage itself was the goal. Then came the moment that made everything even more unsettling. A short video began circulating privately before eventually leaking online, just 12 seconds long. No introduction. No explanation. Just 50 Cent sitting in a dimly lit room, speaking calmly to someone off camera. His voice was steady. Almost too steady. He said, "Sometimes you don't expose the truth." A pause. You force it out. The video ended immediately after. No context, no date, no confirmation of authenticity. But that was enough. because people started connecting the dots. If 50 Cent knew the footage was explosive, if he understood the internet reaction it would trigger, if he intentionally released it in pieces, then this wouldn't be chaos. It would be strategy. But just as that theory started gaining traction, DJ Akademiks went live again. And this time, everything changed. No jokes, no smirks, no playful energy. Just a serious tone that immediately grabbed attention. He looked directly into the camera and said, "I'm going to say this once, and I'm not repeating it." The chat froze, then exploded. He continued, "I didn't start this, but I can end it." That line sent the internet into panic mode. End it? What did that mean? What did he have? What was he about to reveal? Comments flooded in instantly. Drop it. What are you talking about? End what? But Akademiks didn't respond. Instead, he leaned closer to the mic and added, "There's a version of this story y'all haven't seen yet, and trust me, you might not want to." Then he ended the stream. No follow-up, no explanation, nothing. Just silence again. And that silence only made things worse. Because now, everyone was left with the same realization. There is more. Much more. At this point, the situation had become something entirely different from what it started as. A leaked set of clips. A documentary in progress. A media figure reacting in real time. And an artist possibly orchestrating something far larger behind the scenes. But now it felt like a chess game. Every move mattered. Every reaction had weight. And every silence felt intentional. Because the real questions were no longer about what had already been exposed. They were about what hadn't been. What was still sitting in those files. What conversations were still hidden. What names had not appeared yet. And who stood to lose everything if it all came out. Because if Akademiks was telling the truth, if there really was another version of this story, then what comes next might not just shake the industry. It might completely break it. And right now, nobody knows whether the next drop is minutes away or already in motion. One thing is certain, though. This is far from over. And just when it felt like the situation couldn't stretch any further, the internet got hit with something completely unexpected again. Because while everyone was still processing Akademiks' last livestream and dissecting every second of that mysterious 12-second clip from 50 Cent, a new wave of information started quietly spreading through private group chats and insider forums. At first, it looked like nothing important. Just screenshots. Just fragments. Just unnamed sources repeating the same phrase. There's a second layer to all of this. Nobody paid attention until they did. Because within hours, those same claims started matching patterns people had already noticed but couldn't explain. Certain clips that didn't seem to fit the timeline. But this time, it wasn't cryptic. It was direct. A black background. White text. Short sentence. Everybody talking, but nobody knows what I'm holding. No emojis. No explanation. Just that. And that was enough to send the internet into another wave of panic. Because if both sides were hinting at more material, then the real question wasn't about what had already been leaked. It was about what was still unreleased. And why it hadn't dropped yet. Until now, most reactions from celebrities had been indirect. But that changed fast. A well-known producer broke silence during an interview, carefully choosing words but clearly frustrated. There are things in this situation that people are not supposed to have access to yet. And once you lose control of that kind of material, you don't just lose privacy, you lose stability. That statement was enough for media outlets to run with it immediately. Now the conversation wasn't just online anymore. It was on radio shows, entertainment panels, mainstream news segments. Everyone was asking the same thing. Is the hip-hop industry currently dealing with a controlled exposure event or an uncontrolled collapse? Then came the most dangerous theory yet. It didn't come from a celebrity. It didn't come from a journalist. It came from an anonymous post that spread too fast to ignore. What if none of this is accidental, and the real target isn't the artists, it's the system? At first, people dismissed it. But the more they thought about it, the more it made unsettling sense. Because the footage wasn't just showing arguments. It was showing structure, deals, power dynamics, behind-the-scenes negotiations. If that was intentional exposure, then the goal wasn't drama. It was transparency. And transparency in an industry built on controlled narratives is destructive. Later that night, Akademiks posted a short message on social media. No video. No context. Just text. When the last clip drops, don't say nobody warned you. That was it. But it was enough. Because now the idea of a last clip confirmed what people feared most. There is an ending planned. Or at least a final piece. And nobody knows what it contains. After that post, everything slowed down. Almost unnaturally. No major leaks. No new clips. No live streams from Akademiks. No response from 50 Cent. Just silence. And in situations like this, silence doesn't feel like peace. It feels like buildup. Like something is loading in the background. Like the entire internet is holding its breath without realizing it. Because everyone understands the same thing now. Whatever has already been released was only the beginning. And whatever comes next won't just add to the story. It will redefine it. At this point, nobody is sure what they're watching anymore. A leak, a rollout, a controlled exposure, or a complete breakdown of an entire system hiding behind entertainment. But one thing is undeniable. Every new layer makes the situation harder to contain. And every silence makes people more anxious for the next drop. Because now the internet isn't just waiting for answers. It's waiting for impact. And whether it comes from Akademiks, 50 Cent, or someone completely unseen, everyone knows the next moment could change everything again.